How you doing? I'm CK with Anion Extraction Systems, and today we're going to be testing out one of these Welch pumps here. Now this one is on loaner to us from our partners down at Elf Extraction down in Oklahoma. They're one of our distributors for the Trifecta extraction system. So for those of you guys in Oklahoma needing some extraction equipment, give them a shout. We're going to go ahead and put this thing head to head against the Goliath pump and see how it does. Just by looking at it, this thing actually looks pretty promising, so hopefully we get some good results out of this thing today. Alright guys, so what we're going to be doing today is a test just like we did last time with the Goliath versus the MVP6 CFM. We're going to fill both of these columns here with 5 pounds of solvent each, and then we're going to recover them. Now we're going to do it at the same time, that way they're both pumping against the same pressure in the pressure vessel, as well as at the same temperature, so that way there's not any unfair advantage. So we're going to go ahead and assign this pump, or this column here is going to be on the Anion Goliath pump, and this one here is going to be on the electronic Welch recovery pump. So we'll go ahead and do first is we're going to vacuum these down into a vacuum. So we've got the Goliath set up so that it can pull vacuum directly on this, and we're going to test the Welch pump and see if it can pull a vacuum on this column as well. Alright, so first up we're going to go ahead and start with the Goliath pump here, and we'll pull this one to vacuum. Okay, we're good on that one, and we'll go ahead and get the Welch pump set up and have it pull down vacuum next. Alright, next we'll go ahead and vacuum down with the Welch pump and see how well it does at the vacuum. One thing definitely more noticeable about this pump is it is exceptionally quieter. And it looks like it did pull into a full vacuum there as well. So we've got that one maxed out. And so let's go ahead and start the filling process. Alright, so we'll go ahead and tear out the scale. And then we'll go ahead and start, and we're going to do 5 pounds each, and we'll fill them individually, that way we can actually measure each column and make sure we get a true 5 pounds in it. And you can see with the Anion Trifecta here, it's got a nice shower head filling effect there, so it's nice even distribution all around. Okay, first column's done. Now we'll go ahead and load up the second column here. Alright, and we got it right at 10 pounds there now, just a slight hair over. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and zero this back out, be able to see when we get back in. So obviously we're not running any product today, we're just going to be actually doing dry runs. So we'll go ahead and just drop right down. So we got everything loaded up. We're going to go ahead and activate these pumps and start them running. So we'll start the Welch pump first. And now we'll go ahead and start the Goliath. Alright, now you can see got both of them about the same height right now. Boiling off pretty good on both of them. Got a pretty good violent boil going. For temperature, or pressure rather, both of them sitting right about 0. The Welch pump's actually a little bit less. It's less pressure than the Anion pump. So it looks like right now the Welch pump is actually a little bit in the lead. But we'll go ahead and run these things and see what the end result is. Alright, so we're about halfway through now. We're a little over, almost to 5 pounds there, it looks like 4.6 pounds. So we'll take a look and kind of see where we're at by comparison. So still bubbling away, a little ways down from the cap. And come over and take a look at this one, and it actually looks pretty similar. They're actually pretty damn close to each other there. And if we take a look at the pressures on them, it's still a little bit less pressure on the Welch pump. So the Welch pump is pulling a little bit stronger. It looks like it's a little bit more vacuum than what we've got going on the Goliath over here. So it looks like the Welch pump is actually slightly in the lead. We're expecting a little bit better than that, but nonetheless, that's still cooking along pretty good. So we'll go ahead and let this keep going. We'll come back and check in with it a little bit and see where it's at then. All right, so we got about 8 pounds recovered so far, so about a pound left in each, and we'll go ahead and take a look down inside of here, and they're actually pretty damn close to each other. It looks like the Welch pump is definitely a little bit in the lead here. Can't get down in there and see. There we go. Let's see if we can zoom in on it. So they're pretty close. The Welch pump is definitely in the lead. It's a little bit further ahead. Pressure-wise, they're actually starting to maintain out, and they're balancing out with each other, so they're pretty close. I think the Welch pump is still going to definitely finish a little bit ahead, but it's not going to be very much ahead. So we'll go ahead and keep recovering and see what we end up with. All right, so right now we're almost about 9 pounds in there. So we'll take a look and see where we're at real quick. And actually, both of them are really close, right down there towards the bottom. And right down there towards the bottom. Now, both of them at this point have gone to that point where they're stalling out again. So it's below the line of actual heat that's processed on there. We do that intentionally to slow the process down once we get to the bottom, so we're not burning our extract. However, both of them have reached that point, and they both kind of come to a stall and stop where they're not really recovering exceptionally fast. So this is the point when normally when we're doing a process and a run, we would call it done and empty out the system and then redo it and start over again. So they kind of both hit it about the same time. But we're going to go ahead and finish recovering. We're going to go on this until it's completely dry, just to see where we're at with it. Again, both the pressures on them really the same. Yeah. Welch is still a little bit lower. Welch has got a little bit more vacuum on this one. But overall, not exceptionally different between them. And the actual overall liquid that's in them is still right about the same. Get to where you can see the liquid in there. Just zoom in. And then go over on that one. So pretty close to the same, not too far off, but we'll go ahead and keep recovering just like we did with the last test, and we're going to see which one of these can actually dry it up and recover 100% of the solvent first. Now, one thing I do want to point out is both of these are frosting over this bottom clamp. This is the unheated section, and both of these have a pretty good frost line on the clamp there. That's indicating that the recovery rate, especially that in vacuum, is pretty strong. If you guys watched the last video with the MVP, the Goliath was developing frost down here and the MVP wasn't, so this Welch pump is definitely a lot stronger than the MVP. Okay, so we're just about finishing up here. They were down last time we left off. They were right down, just a little bit left in the bottom below the heat line. The Welch pump actually did finish up first. It just dried up over here, so we've got nothing left. And we come over and look at the Anion one. This is the Anion Goliath here. Zoom in on it. There is, got to shake it and you can see just ever so slightly tiniest little film layer down at the bottom. The Welch pump over here, it is completely bone dried up. So the Welch pump did actually finish first, so it is a faster pump. It is most notably so much quieter than the Goliath pump. We can actually run this pump and still have a conversation in the room with it running, and you don't hardly even notice that it's running. So there are definitely some advantages to it. It runs off 110 volt versus compressed air. So obviously it's all got to be wired in C1, D1 and whatnot. But overall, for those guys that don't have three-phase electric, don't have enough power supply to run an actual air compressor, things like that, that might definitely be a viable option. I don't think it's going to be faster than 2 Goliaths, and cost-wise for putting 2 of those on one trifecta is probably going to be a little bit cost prohibitive. But nonetheless, in future revisions, I think we're going to go ahead and add that on to our certification, so that way we'll be able to use that pump with this machine as an option if you so choose. Like I said, obviously it is a little bit faster. Surprisingly, we thought it'd be a lot faster than that, but looking at it, the displacement on it is relatively small compared to the Goliath pump, but it does have a much faster cycling rate. So we can see it does pull down deeper into vacuum, and it is recovering more faster than what the Goliath pump is. But nonetheless, looks like it's a damn good pump. So I think we'll add that to our revision so we can use it here in the future. So thank you guys for watching, and have a good night. What's up, guys? Just finishing up editing the video here for the Welch pump versus the Goliath. We did do some testing afterwards off camera with the Welch pump by itself. So what we did is we filled 1 column, ran it, timed it how long it took, and then we filled 2 columns and ran it in pair and timed it to see how long it takes. And surprisingly, 2 columns was just about as fast a recovery as 1, which means that the Welch pump is actually a viable option for replacing 2 of the Goliath pumps. So I think on future revisions we are going to include that as an option, where we can have 1 Welch pump versus the 2 Goliaths. Part of the reason for that is, again, the evaporation rate. If there's no gas that's evaporated, it doesn't matter how big the pump is. In this case, it was the inverse. Our pump was able to keep up because it didn't matter how big the Welch pump was or how much the displacement on it was, because it was actually still able to keep up with the evaporation rate. Both of them pulled down into vacuum, and this is why our pump was keeping up, even though the Welch pump is a pretty big, a significantly bigger pump. I don't think one of the Anion Goliaths can actually keep up running 2 columns at the same time, because you have twice the surface area, twice the evaporation rate. The Welch pump was actually able to do that, which is why we ended up putting 2 Goliaths on the trifecta unit instead of just 1. In this case, I think the Welch pump is, overall, it is a better pump. There are some limitations, but there's also some advantages to it. It does run off 110, so it's certainly easier to wire in than doing, an air compressor system and plumbing air lines and all that. One of the major drawbacks, though, is the pressure on it. It is not rated for as high a pressure as the Goliath pumps are, so it can't output it against as high a pressure, and you cannot run full butane with it. I believe you can only go to like a 30-70 mix of propane-butane. I'd have to double check on that, but I know you can't run straight propane with it because the pressure rating on it certified is not high enough. But overall, it's a really good pump. I think for most of the guys out there, this is going to be a viable option that we can actually interchange it out with and offer it for you guys in the future. Thank you much.